right, so welcome back for another episode of Spill It with Morg. I have my good friend Jared here. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. So for those who don't know him, I'm going to introduce you. We're going to get to know him a little bit. And for those that do know him, maybe we'll get to know a little bit more about him that you did not know before. So happy to have you on.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm a longtime fan from the beginning.
I'm so glad. I love the support. Well, I'm excited. It smells so good. So what are we drinking?
We are drinking a Dark and Stormy. This is a highball cocktail made with dark rum, which is the dark, and ginger beer, which is the stormy.
Nice.
So if you're a good bartender, which I'm not, you can get them to separate, and you'll have the dark rum sitting on top of the ginger beer.
Okay.
And then you get the dark and the storm. But it's basically a Moscow Mule. Oh, and there's also lime juice in it. So it's basically a Moscow Mule, but dark rum instead of vodka.
Ooh,
so,
okay. Well, you ready?
Cheers.
Cheers. Whew. That's actually very good. That's actually really refreshing.
It's an excellent summer drink.
It is.
As we're sitting here by Grandma Dar's pool.
By the pool. I thought it was nice to have a little change of scenery.
It is Memorial Day weekend
today. It is, so I feel like we have to have it.
Unofficial beginning of summer.
Exactly. So no, this is really good. I really like this. We'll be sure to include the recipe for you guys in case you want to make one while you watch. I always recommend doing that so it's like you're here with us. So, all right. So what are some of your favorite drinks, your go-to drinks when you're at the bar?
If I'm at a nice place, I like to get an old fashioned or a Sazerac. I typically like whiskey cocktails. Also, can't go wrong with a good gin and tonic. And gin martinis also another go-to for me. I don't want to, and I like red wine, so I don't want to give too much. Typically, Cabernet Sauvignon is my favorite. Red, but not to. Yeah, I'm. You've known me long enough to know I'm not a particular booze hound. So I'll drink just about anything, but I'd say old fashioned is probably my number one.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a go-to for our friend group, and it just
shout out Ryan O'Neill.
Yeah, making the last one, but for me, I've said this 1,000 times. If you guys are sick of hearing of it, so sorry. I'm trying to become an old-fashioned girly, trying to like it. And I'm not there. I'm trying. I'm really trying. The one he made last week was actually pretty good. So, and this one's pretty good, even though it has dark liquor in it. I still really like it. So you did good.
Thank you very much.
Two good ones in a row. I'm pretty happy about this. Honestly, all my drinks have been pretty good. I can't really complain. So, but no, I also love gin. I love gin. So I also love gin martinis and gin and tonics. G&Ts are my go-to. I love to call them that G&Ts. So I really do like those.
It's your fascination with British culture.
I really think it is. And we're going to be getting into that later. Kind of on the topic of alcohol, because I think this is really funny. I was just thinking about this the other day. I feel like, and I'm sure you can probably attest to this, because I think we've been hungover at the same time many times. So do you feel like hangovers get worse the older that you get?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I'm what am I? Am I 10 years older than you? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm significantly older than Morgan. So
He's
Morgan,
old.
I have. I unfortunately have to tell you, it just keeps getting worse.
Oh, lovely. Well, mine are pretty bad now, so I cannot even imagine.
I never was one of those people that just straight up didn't get hungover at any point in my life.
Those people are very blessed.
But
very
fair. I've noticed. For me, it was pretty consistent up until the past 2 or 3 years, and now it's started to be if I'm really irresponsible, then it's more like a 2-day recovery phase.
Literally
than
2 to 3 business day recovery. That's what I always have to say. How did we become friends?
We both came crawling back to Bloomfield around the same time, I think.
Yeah.
And in Bloomfield, there's a nice local brewery that opened up around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The Feed Store Brewing Company, and we
they've been getting a lot of advertisement from me, I swear. Which I'm totally fine with. I love to help them out.
And you had been friends with Ryan O'Neill for a long time in Daly.
Yeah.
And so then through that, I became friends with Izzy and Andrew Bladen, who were friends with them.
Yep.
And we just kept hanging out at the same places and
yep.
integrated. I was kindly integrated into the friend group once I had.
Yep. And now our friend group is diverse in age for sure, because we've got you, and then we've got Patrick,
Young
who's
Patrick,
the youngest one.
young Patrick, who literally could be my biological child.
He really could, actually, when you think about it. Oh my God. No, that's funny. So yeah, that's how I remember it too. I think it was just kind of like, meeting people that were in the same friend group, and they just kind of came together, and now we're friends. And now here you are.
Here I
on
am.
Spill It with Morg.
It's to quote Paul Rudd, look at us now.
Oh my God. I like that, though. That was good. I like Paul Rudd. I like him. So we're going to get into some heavy topics this episode, I've decided, because I feel like I like to talk about deep stuff. I've always been that way. I think it's why I'm getting my degree in psychology. And so we're going to talk about some deep stuff, okay?
Yeah.
But don't feel like you have to answer any of these if you don't want to.
I'm a pretty open book. One nice thing about living a near blameless life as I have is you have little to hide. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, fair. You were married and you went through a divorce. I'm just going to throw that out there. Yeah. You're the third person I've had on my podcast that's actually been through a divorce.
It's a fun aspect of modern living. Is how many
and when
people
you think about that, you're thinking, well, this is, my 7th episode. So 3 out of 7.
We are. Well, the unfortunate part is how many of us have not even had like lasting marriages. Mine was basically 3 years and some change, and
a lot of the other ones, they didn't last very long either. And it's just we'll get into that topic later about my feelings on marriage because of what I'm seeing, but and I understand like it doesn't always work like that for everybody, because it's
a high risk, high reward proposition.
Because we got Daly and Ryan and we got Andrew and Izzy. They obviously have made it work and they're fine. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So, but you are one of the 3 that have been divorced, and so we don't have to like all like the dirty details. I'm more interested in kind of how did you move past going through something so probably a little bit traumatic, I would have to say.
Oh yeah, I'm comfortable saying it's the worst thing I've ever gone through.
Okay.
It was really tough. Like
yeah.
I do not recommend it.
Do not recommend it to anybody.
Yeah. For those the viewers at home, try to avoid it, because it's very it's certainly a healing process getting through it. It really is just, it's like classic grief. Like you have to go through these stages, and you'll feel like okay, I'm feeling way better. I'm over that. It's been a year. I'm feeling pretty good. And then like one of the weirdest things for me is how like your body will recognize like milestones, like you won't even be thinking about it, but then like maybe your old anniversary is coming up, and you're like, why am I so down in the dumps? Like things are going well for me. Why do I not, like, why am I feeling? Yeah. And then it's like, and then your phone will be nice enough to remind you, like, oh, you remember this? Remember this 6 years ago?
Here's a little memory for you. Yeah.
Because I'm too lazy to like go through all the rigmarole of like blocking stuff or like saying, don't show me this. But yeah, it messes with your, and again, you've known me long enough now that I speak in absolutes, but like, but this is only true for me. But for me, it messed with my like, just like my perception of so many different things, because like I had felt like I had life really figured out, and like I was, owned a home, had like both of us were employed, we were moving and like clicking along.
Yeah, really the typical.
Yeah, and then we weren't, and so it's like you have all this confidence in what you're doing, and it's like that was a house of cards, it's gone. Right. And so now what do you do?
Yeah, that would really that shakes tough. Things up a lot,
and you have to do a lot of reflection, and honestly a lot of it leads nowhere. Like and again, this is just my situation, but obviously there were things that I can recognize that I could have changed, that I wish I'd have done better. But in the end, like from my situation, there were no major blow-ups. There was no infidelity. There was none of those big, like I didn't find out all of a sudden that there was $50,000 of credit card debt or something like that. Right. It was just a disagreement, a fundamental disagreement we drifted apart upon. Yeah. And so it's like, well, what do I take from that? Like, to not trust people when they tell you something.
We'll get into that.
I, on the whole, enjoy my life more now than I did before.
Well,
there's
that's good.
there's at you know it was really good for me moving back home. Like
Yeah.
I'm closer with my family. I'm like I feel like I just feel spiritually better.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's hard to explain to people, but
Right.
it because it's such a personal thing. But
Yeah.
I enjoy my life more. I like being back where I grew up. I like all the like I made a lot of really good friends out of it
Mm-hmm.
that I probably never would have
Right.
interacted with. So
Yeah.
you got to take the good with the bad. But
Yeah.
and it does just like everything. It just gets better with time. Like
Truly.
things scar over, and then
Yeah.
unfortunately, scar tissue is never as strong as whole tissue.
Yeah.
But so there's always those little things that can get to you that you don't.
Yeah. No, there's always going to be triggers, as
Yeah.
what people will call them. So I think that's the proper term you're looking for. But yes, yeah, no, there's always going to be things that will reopen that wound. But you mentioned a really good point about how your body remembers trauma. And although I've never been through a divorce, I've been through something pretty traumatic myself. And I'm not going to talk too much in detail about it, but that's how you know you've been through something that is considered traumatic, because when I like start to like shake really bad, or I get really cold, like when I talk about a situation that I've
Yeah.
been through. And it's just wild to me because I feel like I'm healed from it, but like my body's like, no, you're not. Like, no, you're
Yeah.
absolutely not. And you're
Yeah.
right. Like on like the time of whenever that situation happened to me, I was driving home and I just had a breakdown. I was sobbing on my way home. Just I couldn't get it together. And I was like, what's wrong with me? And then it clicked. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, my
It's
body's
bizarre.
remembering
Yeah.
what happened.
It's very bizarre.
And but even though like mentally I feel like I mean, of course, like I'm not fully okay. Like, I mean, I'm not fully 100%. I think I never will be. I mean, that's kind of sad to come to that realization, but that's just what it is. It's just interesting to see how your
Yeah.
body will remember.
It's like when, especially like occasionally, like if you get disassociated from it and you're just like observing yourself,
You're like,
and you're like,
whoa.
what? Like this is like
You're
this
like,
is fascinating.
yeah.
Sucks that it's me, but
Right. But I mean, it took me a while to figure out why I was acting like that. And
Yeah.
some like it's almost like my anxiety was taking over, and like I would start shaking really bad, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like I feel like I was like had like a fever. That's like literally what I could
Yeah.
describe it as. And then I kind of put two and two together, and I was thinking, oh, well, that's probably what it is. So no, I've
You're not alone
experienced
in
that.
that.
Yeah. No, I've experienced that too. So I definitely understand what you're talking about whenever you
Yeah.
mention that. You talked about how hard it was for you. How did you like? What were some ways I mean, you said moving home was really good for you. That's how you helped you overcome some of that. But what else did you like lean on to move past that?
Physical activity was a big one.
Yeah.
Like I've generally tried to stay active most
Yeah.
of my adult life. I had I had injured my lower back pretty badly like years ago.
Sorry, I got a little piece of wine.
I kind of like I wasn't. I'd started to do more of calisthenics and yoga type of stuff, but I kind of got back more into like lifting weights and doing more like um, very taxing stuff where you get like a heavy load to where you really feel it.
Yeah.
And that I don't know that helped me a lot. Being like getting back into that and having like those small goals that you can set and that kind of stuff. That was super helpful. Meditating helped for a while, and then I don't know. It started to just be I don't know. It started to just be like I couldn't get out of like mental loops when I was doing it, and so I don't know. So I had mixed results with that, but it's worth a shot for people if they want to try it. But and then a lot of it was just recognizing that I felt better around friends and family, like not spending a lot of I have a pretty active like mental world. It's like I don't mind being like I can entertain myself very like a lot, but I did notice that the more if I spent too much time alone, that I would get stuck. Yeah. And so making myself like make time to be with friends and family, and attending social stuff that I may not have in the past.
Yeah.
And again, that was another nice thing about moving back home. Like, and as the Bloomfield Downtown Revitalization Group started to have more events around the town, that was nice to have. Like, so there's these things you can go out and do, see people in the community, and it's such a. I mean, Bloomfield, for the people that are watching this that aren't familiar with Bloomfield, it really is so small. Like it's always
Very, very
cracked me
small.
up when you'd watch like TV shows growing up, and they'd be like, "Oh, they're in this small town," and they'd show like the town sign, and so it's like population 40,000. It's like,
And you're like,
well, hold on a second.
we've got like 1,000.
2,200.
Oh.
2,200.
My apologies.
For me, like, obviously, there's the downsides of if of people being in your business.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's also nice when you're out and about and you just run into people that
Yeah.
care about you and
Exactly.
like actually like genuinely care.
Right.
You don't always get that when you, because I lived in I didn't even move. I moved to Bloomington. That's where the only other place I've lived. So again, that's technically a small town, but it's way different.
It's. I mean, you can really blend in there. Like
Yeah.
you're not. I mean, here you know everyone or damn near everybody. I mean, you can walk in the store and see 3 people that
Yep.
you know. So yeah, no, Bloomington and Bloomfield are a little bit different.
Yeah.
But no, I think those are good ways that you helped overcome it, because I think that there is a very dark side of healing that I think some people probably have been through. I myself am included in that. Is, you know, turning to drinking or
Oh yeah, that was a struggle for me for sure.
Yeah.
Early on, I because all of my divorce coincided with the start. Like it was ongoing. Like the kind of dissolution of my marriage was ongoing when COVID started.
Yeah.
So now that I'm just like,
you're like a double whammy.
Yeah, I'm living in what I thought was going to be like my marital home alone.
Yeah.
With nothing to do. Literally couldn't do anything, and I'm working from home.
No.
I definitely like had a realization. I can distinctly remember having a realization that it's like you need to take it easy. Like
Yeah.
like this is not good. Like I was still getting out and walking a lot. And
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to stay active, but yeah, you just kind of like if you can be a little self-reflective and recognize like, yeah, I'm skating a dangerous line
Yeah.
here that I probably need
Going
to be
down a path
yeah,
I may need to.
right. Yeah.
Which, I mean, in your defense, I think a lot of people in COVID were drinking throughout the week.
It was
so.
a great time to be a hard alcohol supplier.
Honestly, and I know the alcohol sales went through the roof. They did great during COVID. So I guess, and you can either break this up into kind of one big answer if you want to do like 3 things. What are some things that you've learned about yourself since your divorce?
A big one for me, like a thing that I just straight up, because I think, and you can correct me if I'm off base on this from like the psychological aspect, but the like sort of standard understanding of extroversion and introversion is like whether you like people or not.
Yeah.
Like, but a more specific thing is whether you get energy from interacting with people. And I just because I liked to read, I played video games a lot growing up. I was very internally focused.
Yeah.
I just always assumed I was introverted.
Right.
And then this was definitely a thing that made me realize like, I wonder, like, the reason that I would get really bored in lectures at school is because I'm actually extroverted. I like talking to people. Like, it jazzes me up.
Right.
And so that was a big one for me, like realizing like how I can get myself more engaged in whether it's at work or in social settings. It's like, just talk to people. Like,
yeah.
You like to talk to people. So
yeah,
just do it.
Right. Yeah. Which is easier said than done. But yes. Yeah. No, I always thought that I was more introverted too. And now that I've gotten older, like went through college, I am definitely extrovert. I get my energy from being around people. I've really have learned that about myself. But yeah, you're correct. It's like getting your energy from
I was just shy.
Your energy source.
Yeah, so I would just feel like I'd feel bad because it's
Yeah.
like I'm like excited from being around people, but I'm nervous. And so I was like, oh, I don't like being around people. It's
Yeah.
like, no, you're just a big baby and you're shy.
Well, I mean, you don't come off that way. At least you come off extroverted and confident, so that's good. At least.
Yeah. It was a process.
Yeah, I had to work on that. So, yeah. Anything else that you've learned about yourself besides that?
Sadly, no. Like it's like that was one of the hardest things. Like I said earlier, it's like I don't know what I'm supposed to take from this. Like I'm still me. If anything, I had to like unlearn early things that like I internalized, where it's like, oh, you can't trust your intuitions, you can't trust like your first impressions of people. Like early on, I was like way out of sorts on any of that. Like, and So I had to kind of like be like, no, you're all right. Like you're still most of the time, like you can trust yourself.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was. It's like I just had to like come out the other side and be like, well, I'm like, kind of just back where I started.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, oh, damn it. I will say, Ryan brought up a really good point in my last episode was that, because we were talking like the past relationships I have been in and how badly they have all ended, it seems, but they have always given me a lesson. I'm learning every single time. Right now, we'll get into this later, but it's like I'm so done with dating, but it's like I know I've learned a lot, but right now it's like I'm just so burnt out on it. I can't even. I'm just done. I'm done. So but I feel like I still am learning about, like, I'm learning about, like, what you were just saying, trusting your gut, trusting your intuition. Like, I was not trusting myself, and I am kicking myself because I wasn't listening. So been dating again, you're kind of out there. So I feel like you're hopefully implementing what you've learned into these next relationships that you're moving into.
Yeah,
so
you try. I mean, I'll
try.
say it's tough because
It is.
Sometimes
it's easy to result back into
oh
those
yeah,
old ways.
yeah, like yeah, the pathways are still there,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's like water follows its path, and you got to be like, I need to maybe put a little dam here.
Yeah. Reboot. Well, we're going to move into a topic that I think will probably answer that a little bit. It's our attachment styles. So I knew mine beforehand. I am an anxious attachment style, and you took yours, and you also have an anxious attachment style, which, if anybody's been listening and paying attention, we're very similar in the way that we handle relationships, I think, because we really get in our heads. And I'll talk a little bit about anxious, or about attachment styles in general, and like kind of like what it is that anxious attachment styles entail, and we'll see if you can relate to any of them. So typically with an anxious attachment style, people tend to, this is like, it's very blanketed, and I think you get healthier the older that you get with it, and you learn how to kind of deal with it, but tend to have low self-esteem, a strong fear of rejection or abandonment, which is yeah. And then there's clinginess. So like in your relationships with people, you are so fearful of them leaving you that you tend to overreact to try to keep them to stay, and really it ends up backfiring. At least for me, it has.
I've certainly experienced that.
So that tends to be what happens with the anxious or preoccupied style. That's what they refer to it as. So for a little history lesson, the attachment style dates back to the 1950s, and John Bowlby was the one that actually discovered it, and he did it by learning through children. And it was as quickly as like a child getting picked up from its mother on when that attachment style developed. And it really begins obviously with your caregivers, and that then translates into your relationships with people throughout the rest of your life. So I've always found it super interesting to me, because the other ones are, there's avoidant and disorganized. Typically, most people tend to be avoidant or anxious. And I tend to always be in relationships with people that are avoidant attachment styles. And that is like oil and water going together, because you know what that means? Avoidant people tend to pull back when they're feeling, with us, we tend to reach out and really cling, while they're like, no.
It's like, oh yeah, there's this vacuum here, I've got to fill.
Yeah. So I mean, sometimes the two in a relationship can be very detrimental if it's not handled properly. I'm actually getting a book. I forget who the author is, but it's called Anxiously Attached. I'm getting it in the mail. It's supposed to come Tuesday, and it's supposed to help try to fix some of these overthinkings that I have. And so with anxious attachment, I think it definitely affects our dating lives, and kind of how we see ourselves, and how we tend to cling on to people and try to keep them there because we want to do everything in our power. We don't want to be abandoned, which I was doing some reading, and they said, this happens because you've been abandoned by someone before. And I don't know about you, no one's ever walked out on my life important to me. But I think that could be exactly why I'm so scared of it, because I've never lost anybody. I've never lost anybody to abandonment.
Yeah, it's something I've thought about too, because I mean, both my parents, I still have good relationships with them. We're close. That and they got divorced, but I was 19.
Right.
So, and from what I understand, similar to what you're saying, like a lot of this develops way before then.
Oh yeah.
And so I do know they both traveled a lot for work, which,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was just part of their job. So
Mm-hmm.
I've wondered if that contributed to it, like just
Maybe,
feeling
yeah.
like, because I mean, I have one of those like really distinct, and I feel so bad like talking about this because it was just her job. But I
Yeah.
can remember being probably 6 or 7 years old
Mm-hmm.
and just like wailing in the front yard,
Oh
like
no.
where's mom? Why is she gone?
Oh no.
And
That's so
hopefully she
sad.
never hears this, because like they provided a very comfortable, stable life for me, and
Yeah.
like I don't want to, like, they sacrificed a lot,
Right.
but yeah, so it's like I feel bad saying it, but I do recognize like
Yeah.
that there are these things where I do worry about like people just not being there. And
Exactly.
yeah.
No, it's one of my biggest fears for sure. Yeah, no, unfortunately these attachment styles are kind of a bitch because they just are with you for the rest of your life. And until like you really learn how to control your thoughts and deal with it in a healthy way, they're there to really mess things up, it seems like. I mean, and it's so frustrating, but it's also it brings me peace to know like what it is, like that I like the attachment style
Yeah.
that I do have, because I'm like, okay, are my thoughts justified? Like, am I freaking
Mm.
out for a reason? So then, like, for me, it's really hard because I'm like, is it my anxious attachment style that's having these thoughts, or is it my gut instinct trying to tell me, run, get out,
Yeah.
go away? Or is my anxious attachment style saying, like, just trying to butt in like they always do? Like, they're going to reject you anyway. You better just do it first, It's like, so it's
Yeah,
just it's this
threading the
vicious
needle.
cycle.
Yeah, threading the needle on that kind of stuff is tough.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting point. Something I should have mentioned earlier about learning through like
Yeah.
going through getting divorced. Um, that like kind of a thing that kind of seems obvious that I just never considered was that like your thoughts are not you.
Right.
Like, and that was a thing that I did get out of meditating, is that like you can kind of experience, once you get decent at it,
Mm-hmm.
you can like experience your thoughts occurring, and you can like just let them go instead of
Yeah.
like following them wherever they're, like that thread wherever it's going to
Oh
go.
my gosh. Yeah.
And so yeah, that was a big thing of recognizing like a thought is part of you, but it's also happening to you.
Yeah.
And so like you can separate that. It's really hard and it
Oh
sucks.
my
But
gosh, yeah, it's so hard. Like your subconscious mind really likes to mess with you all the time. So I mean, there's a reason they say like my mind plays tricks on me, or like the
yeah,
mind will play tricks, because it really does. Like it just messes with you. And you start to believe that that stuff is true,
yeah,
and it is fact, and it is whatever. All the times I thought like my anxious thoughts, how much they take over in relationships specifically, like the anxious attachment style, it just makes so much sense with me, because I do really have low self-esteem, and I have really tried to work on it. But like when my mind starts going, it's like, man, he rejected you for a reason. Like there's a
yeah.
reason why you're being rejected. And like that's next on the list, is how dating has affected our perceptions of ourselves.
Speaking of self-esteem.
Speaking of that, I think the attachment styles are very, very interesting. And I really got into in one of my classes, and I kind of thought, okay. So I had some of my other friends take it, and like some of them got the avoidant one, which I'm still kind of learning about that one, because obviously I'm going to learn more about the one
Right,
I've
yeah.
got. But it would be helpful to learn about the other ones, because then you know how to kind of connect and talk with other people and be in relationships with other people.
Or
So
recognize that it's there. I mean, like, this isn't gonna.
yeah, you're like, maybe this will not be it, maybe not. But no, yeah, the avoidant attachment style, and I think some people in my family have it, because you really start to pick up on, like, okay, in situations like where there's ever an issue, they want to like push away and like literally avoid
Mhm.
avoid the problem. They don't want to fix it, they don't want to talk about it, they just want to move
Right,
on.
yeah.
So yeah, no, anxious attachment is just so much fun. I actually think it could be the worst one. When I was reading about it, I thought, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
awful.
I mean, I'm sure I'm sure it depends, because it's like anything. There's a spectrum of it, and there's
Yeah.
degrees of how much you can control it. But yeah, it's definitely a bummer when you like when you're like reading something and like, oh yeah, oops.
Like that checks out. That actually makes sense there. Yeah. Oh my God. We are going to move into, I think this is going to be the topic that's the most heavy, at least for me. But you and I have both been in this godforsaken dating world that we're in right now, which is awful. You have an ant on your pants, just in case you wanted to know. So, but I feel like dating anymore. And I'm coming fresh off something that did not end very well. So I'm kind of a little bitter about it right now. And that's going to translate into how I'm talking about it. It may not feel this way all the time, but for right now, I really do. So, but there is one thing I feel like that's consistently happening every single time I get into a situation and it doesn't end well with a guy, is that I start to really view myself negatively every time. And I hate when people go, and it's true, I'm not saying it's not, when people go, oh, it's not you, it's them. Like, it's all them, it's not you. And I go, well,
but I was there.
But I was there. And yeah. When it keeps happening over and over and over again, and it's the same person getting screwed over, you start to kind of think, maybe it is me. Maybe it is me.
Yeah, I've gone on a lot of first and second dates.
So, you really start to think, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. There has to be, because why does this keep happening? And so I know that you've kind of, I feel like you've gotten better about it, at least recently, about, seeing yourself in a better light. But I'm really struggling with it right now, but I'll talk about that in a second. So talk about it from your point of view.
Yeah, it's because I had a period in my early 20s where my self-esteem did get like screwed up.
Yeah.
Like I kind of got adrift in life, and
yeah.
I just like it took me a long time to kind of get over feeling basically like a loser. Like, even though like
that's so sad.
But that can happen to you really easily if you don't maintain like some control over your life, because that's what it came down to. Right. I just kind of let myself wallow in it, and the fact is, it can be fun. Like that's the really dangerous part about like being a piece of shit. Like, that's not the right word, because I wasn't like bad to people. I just like but
you just kind of felt that way about yourself.
Yeah, I just didn't care about like my future or anything like that. And so when you're just like, when you're not worrying about the future, you can have a lot of fun until the chickens come home to roost, and you're like, well, what am I doing?
That saying.
And
I just love your sayings sometimes. But yeah, no, you wake up one day and you're like, what? Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, and then it can take a long time to like get over that feel, like almost being like mad at yourself. And then you suddenly find yourself in a relationship with someone you shouldn't be, which I want to be really clear, this was not my ex-wife, who is really not that bad of a person. Like, things didn't work out, but other exes I've had, not good people. Oops. And I got into that situation by my self-esteem was low, and so then like someone seems interested in you, and suddenly you're like, you can convince yourself of that things are whatever. So then you correct that, things go sideways, and then suddenly those little voices can come back really quickly to be like riding you down, and then it's like, I really feel for you, especially because, again, men and women are different in a lot of ways, and so like your experience in dating is a lot different than mine, because you get a lot of opportunities to have like people be mean to you, like like if they don't get exactly what they want from you, treat you like not well, and it sucks, and it's not fair, and like I don't know, it's the apps are, I honestly like feel like they're just maybe one of the most like evil things that have been invented in maybe in human history. It's got to be up there. Like, the amount of suffering that they've generated has to be.
They're just trying to make us depressed at this point. Yeah. I swear to God.
I mean, they make money off of
our depression.
Off of your relationship.
Because you know what I do? I'm depressed. I go on Amazon and I buy a bunch of things that make me feel better. So I know what they're doing. They're all
See, on the male side, they're like, well, if you pay us money, if you pay Bumble money, if you pay Tinder money, then it's like things will work out a little bit better.
Then we'll give you some more likes.
You just pay a little more money. It'll like say, hold on a second.
Like, hey, that's a great idea. Next thing you know, you spend $100 to boost yourself. I know you haven't done that, but I was just.
It's easy. Like it's really easy to get in that mindset. It's like, well, maybe I should at least try, right? Yeah. Like, because it's just it hammers you constantly when you're on it. But then on the other hand, everybody's using them, so you're stuck in like almost like an arms, like the like the old like Cold War arms race, where it's like you can't back down and just be like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to use it because nobody does anything.
Right.
You know, you can't just like go. It's hard. Now I am like I'm seeing someone currently. It's going
Yeah.
really well. We didn't meet on those apps. So,
You met organically.
Yeah.
You met the old-fashioned way. Damn it, that's never gonna happen.
Especially, I'm sure it's even worse up there, like up in the big city.
It is.
But
It is. And I just so you kind of touched on this, and this is where the topic may get a little dark on my end because I feel like I do not see myself in a good light at all anymore. Like it is like so low right now. It's at the lowest it's ever been. And that's so sad when I have to say it out loud because it's kind of like, man. And you know, I like laugh and like joke my way through it because it's how I cope through things. That's how I've always coped. I laugh and like make jokes about myself because that's just it. But I think this last one really did me in because it's like he was what I perceived to be the nice guy. You know, he was saying super nice things to me, was asking on my day, acting like he was super interested in everything that I had to say, which is that's so important and it's so rare to find anymore. I mean, I'm not saying like I'm like depressed or anything like that, but I think I'm on a very quick ride there because it's just, you know, you really get in your head and you start to, you know, what I was just saying, like you start to wonder like what is wrong with me? Like why can't I ever like I know I've picked some very bad apples. Like I know that there are some guys I picked up thinking, well, all right, you know, that was a long time coming, like that was going to happen. But this last one, I really thought, you know, oh, he's going to be different. He's going to be good, you know, it's going to be fine. And then he ended up being just like every single one of them, talking to multiple women at the same time, which I understand that's pretty common in this day and age, people to do that. But it's almost like, why are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Why are we okay? I mean, I understand like that's part of dating, getting out and talking to people and trying to pick your best one. But damn it, if I wanted to be on the fucking Bachelor, I would have signed up for it, and I don't want to do that. Like, you know,
no, it
just and for me, like whenever I date, I see a little bit differently. I give someone a full chance, and I'm not saying like we have to be exclusive. I'm not saying that, but I do give them my full attention because I think that they deserve that. They deserve a chance. They deserve to have my full attention, and so because I think that's fair.
Yeah.
If you start dating, you're gonna want to see. I mean, they're gonna have your full attention anyway. So I feel like it's important to kind of do a test run, see how it goes. You know, really try to throw yourself into that. So when other people don't do that for me, it really hurts my feelings because it's like, you know, I feel like I wasn't given a fair chance then. And I also think if you're talking to other people, then I'm not what you're looking for because I'm lacking something that you're clearly still searching for, or I am missing a piece that is necessary for you, but I may have had it, you just didn't know it. And so, and I'm not saying I'm the full package, and maybe I will be to somebody, but no one's the full package. There's always be something missing, or you know, no one's being fully perfect. That's not possible. But I think that it's just getting frustrating for me because I feel like there's just always something is wrong.
Well, and that's one of the problems with this online dating like world, and you know it's been beaten to death like in you know in podcasts and like in news reports and like all over the place. But it really is true. Like it creates this zero sum competition where it's like there are an extremely small set of winners, and then there's everybody else. And and everybody, and because there's just always this feeling of like what could be, there could be the next swipe could be the thing that works out, or this next date if you've had multiple matches and like maybe you schedule several dates, and so you can't how do you actually commit yourself into getting to know someone and into like investing in learning? And because like it's kind of a cliche, but I really do believe that love is a choice. Like you choose to love someone or not, and you have to like you kind of encounter that over and over again. And if you're just like waiting to see like, well, I wonder what else is out there, you just made a choice. And yeah, I don't know. I hate it so much.
No,
And I hate it for you because you are my friend. And it's like, I don't know. And I don't know what to, I don't know. Like I said earlier, I want to fix stuff. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you.
well,
Like
there
everything
really,
sucks.
there
And
really
that's it.
isn't anything to tell me because, you know, I tried to date someone a little bit different this time. I tried to date, and I mean, maybe he's not like fully different. You know, he still kind of had like the traits I still run to. But he even told me, like, I know he didn't delete his entire account, but he told me he deleted the Hinge app off his phone, and he like deleted his social media apps off his phone. So I thought, man, this guy's really working on himself. Like he's really like trying here. It's like the energy I could tell was shifting, and I was trying not to get too. I started overthinking.
Right.
I
Yeah.
really did. I started texting like Izzy daily. I started texting like I'm noticing something here, and they're like telling me it's fine, it's fine. You canceled on me last second on Sunday, and it was just like, you know, it's fine, it's fine, it's okay. This is a one-time thing. And I was like, my gut was like telling me, no, it's not, no, it's not. Like,
Yeah.
but I couldn't tell if it was an anxious thought or if it was my body trying to warn me, hey, this ain't gonna go well, sister. You better hit the road.
Yeah. Well, and it's tough to get over like wanting to, or a thing I struggle with is wanting control over situations. So once you do start to think something's going wrong, it's like, well, I can take control by just like cutting this off.
Right.
But that's again, you know, now you've made a choice. And
exactly.
it's, you know,
yeah.
It's so.
Well, and it's like then I told myself, I go, if I cut this off, it won't hurt as bad. Like it won't hurt. But I mean, I know that like part of putting yourself out there and dating is you're going to get hurt and it's going to suck and it's going to like just, and that's just where I'm at right now. Like I'm just hurting because it's like it just felt like 2023 has not been a great start for my dating life. It's not. It's just really not. It's been so bad, and we're almost halfway through. God. When you think about it, it's like, Jesus.
The darkest hour is right before the dawn.
I sure hope so, because I cannot do this again. I literally told Taylor, I don't have any more in me. I cannot do it again. I cannot, and I will not for a while, I think.
Yeah, and it's, and I mean, you know, I like try to shy away from cliches a lot of times, but like again, you know, everybody's situation is different, but like for me, it's like I stopped looking, because I had given up.
Always say, yeah.
I had given up. I deleted all the dating apps off my phone for Lent, and was stepping away from social media for that, and then all of a sudden,
lo and behold,
meet somebody, hit it off, and it seems to be going really well. So I don't know. It's. I mean, I do feel for you, because I especially think it's tough, like, because, like, you know, obviously, you and I and Patrick. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that have been on the dating apps that we've talked about it, but I know like
I think
the
it was
three
just
of
us three out of our core friend group.
and like and so like we'll like compare, like going through like see like
notes.
and and it's like yours is like
I
win. Yours are wild.
It's rough out here, and I say it every time. Like and this makes me sound like I'm just so negative Nancy, but man, dating sucks. It's so bad.
I really do think that like it's one of those. It's an aspect of modern life that technology and social media has made objectively worse.
Yeah, it's like ruined it. It's ruined it.
Yeah.
But the thing is too is like,
any young people out there, just get married in high school. Just get it over with. Move on.
Or just don't at all.
It becomes almost impossible to be objective about yourself.
It is.
When you've and when you feel rejected, when you feel, and it doesn't matter what other people are telling you. It's like,
it just goes in one ear, not the other, because you're just like, I would just like to wallow. Just let me wallow. I'm right. You guys are all wrong. No,
I definitely feel for you, and I mean, you know, I think it'll work out for you. I think you're also in an unfortunate like point in time in your life where like it's like it's almost like the worst of both worlds, you know. Like people that did mature, most of them were able to find somebody and haven't gotten divorced yet. To be back in the market. Or they're like, or they're ate up weirdos that, or you know, or like
they're immature, like they won't grow up.
And it's so easy to
they're scared of commitment.
to suspend, like, to continue your adolescence for so long now. It's so easy to do it because you don't have to, until you have to take responsibility for something, you're still just a child.
Exactly.
And like, because I mean, that's the thing that I've struggled with a lot is like, I want to, I've been wanting to move into the next phase of my life for like 7 years now. That's so long.
You know, I will say though, I've been thinking in my head, I'm like, man, you know, I feel like I'm just such a certified lover girl, as they say. But I think that's slowly chipping away. And I just am worried that I'm going to become cold. And I don't want to become cold. I want to be nice and be inviting and warm. But it's like, I just don't know if I can do it anymore.
Yeah, well, and it's when enough people take advantage of that, it's tough to stay that way. And because I mean, it's, you know, knowing you, I know that there's also been other situations where it's not even just guys taking advantage of you. It's like you get in situations where people don't treat you well, and it's like, you know, even like, you know what I mean?
What's wrong with me?
No, nothing.
Do I just have to take advantage of me on my forehead? The nice people always get taken advantage of.
It's
no, it does seem to be a cycle with me. I don't know what it is. Okay, so we're gonna move into a really fun, like,
we'll
new little
see.
segment.
We'll see if it's fun.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. So everyone that knows me knows I love to talk in a British accent. It is one of my favorite things to do, especially when I've been drinking. It's my favorite. So I thought we'd have some fun and do some different accents. So we're going to give each other.
So you're going to open up with your Chinese accent.
Now, hold on.
No, don't do it. There's no good way to do that.
No, there's not. So we're going to give each other. So I'll tell you which one to do, and then you can do it, and then you can give me one, and I will do it, okay? So yours is, we'll start easy. Well, this may not be easy for you. I don't know. Pirate.
Let me. I don't know that I can do a pirate. Let me, because it's
get into character.
I'm trying to think. We are drinking rum, so this should be easy. But oh my God, Morgan, what are you doing to me? I apologize to my friends and family that have to witness this, but avast you, matey. That what was that? The end was not right. 4 fathoms 5 thy father lies. That's Irish. That was just straight up Irish.
Oh my God. That was funny. I got a kick out of that. Oh my gosh. Okay. I rate that a 3 out of 10. We were going to do ratings too. Okay.
Yeah, good to know.
Okay, your turn.
Well, I don't know if I want to give you an easy one or not after that. All right, let's
I'm all right.
let's hear your Italian accent.
Okay, you ready?
That's good.
This is gonna be so bad. Okay, Mamma mia. You have to do the hand too, you know. You know, you have to do the hand. It's like, bella.
That was a lot. It's a pizza pie. Hey, what a spicy meatball.
I love when they do a meatball. Listen, for the longest time growing up, the only exposure to Italian I got was Lady and the Tramp. Whenever they had the people that made the spaghetti for them. That was it. Okay, what would you rate that out of 10?
That was pretty good, honestly. I'd give that probably a 7. That was a pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
Give a round of applause.
Okay, so your next one is, I want you to do a Boston accent.
Okay. Let me get into a little Goodwill Hunting mindset here.
Oh God, here we go.
Because I'm just gonna have to do Southie, because that's I can't think of just a normal Boston accent. But they come out with you don't really say your I's and car. Have I done enough? I've lost it now. Completely lost it.
That it's not. You know, people have been doing the Kim Kardashian that thing's been going around.
How do you like them apples? I wish I could remember the whole speech. She's like, you're going to be reading Kierkegaard, and then you're going to be blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
But anyway.
For that one, you get about 7 out of 10. It wasn't your best work, but it was better than the...
I don't like... that was like... See, you're probably... I'm old enough to remember there was this extremely lame pirate phase of like internet culture where like you would be online and there'd be like all people would have like pirate day and I hated that shit so much.
Oh yeah, so, no, I remember that on Facebook. People were like talking about like a pirate day. Arg, walk the plank. Yeah, that's really bad actually.
My apologies to the pirate community.
So sorry. Okay, your next one for me.
Okay. Well, we'll go straight into your wheelhouse. Let's give me a posh British accent.
Posh British.
Posh.
Okay. I'll try my best. Okay, hang on. This now that I'm on the spot,
I knew posh would throw you off too.
It does. I'm never like going to Love Island mode. Okay, let me get thinking here. I'm gonna do like a Love Island thing, like because that's like they have. That's where I've learned the accents is from Love Island because they're all from the different regions, and so you learn it. He completely mugged me off. He just completely mugged me off. Like what the fuck? That wasn't my best work because it was posh. You threw posh.
I knew posh would get you. You had it pretty good. You lost it after the first mog. There was a word you threw in there, and I forget now, but it was
completely.
Like, yeah. I got to be honest, Morgan, probably a 5 on that. But...
It was my best work. I do better with like the
Cockney. I'm a Cockney.
Yeah, that is
you
my
do like
a British
Michael Caine starts up high and he goes down.
Yeah.
I think I stole that from.
I think that a 9 out of 10. That was pretty good. I stole that from
Dana Carvey. I think that was like his advice. Do you remember like Garth from Wayne's World? He does a lot of impressions. That was his Michael Caine.
Well, there you go.
Lesson.
No, I mean that was not bad. You're pretty good at a British accent, though. I think a lot of people are not very good at it, but you do pretty well. Okay, so your next one and final one. We'll only do 3 each.
Okay.
I'm not going to put you through this much torture. Germany.
Oh,
German accent. That's what I meant to say.
I mean, this is a tough one to get into without like, especially when you're a clean-cut white guy. You got to be really careful. People are gonna like accuse me of like goose stepping through here.
Oh God.
See, I wish you to give me a heads up on what ones you wanted me to do because I need to like work through them in my. I need to like work through them like out loud. It's like whether it is nobler in our mind. It's like you got to get that like I like on the. But I need to practice it before I would be ready to like just throw it out. I can't remember the like super racist like we must secure our land for our people.
Oh my God!
I mean that's the majority of what you hear in German accents is like Nazis in movies.
That's you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I always think my that goes Dankeschön. So that's what AJ always does.
It's not a German accent. It's just German.
That's what I think of. I don't know why.
Guten Morgen. Yeah, I mean, if you just speak German.
But it came out of the accent, right? It sure did. I would give that. Wait, did you want to give another stab?
I think that's probably as good as I'm going to get
about
on that.
6 out of 10. Okay, my last one.
Last one. I don't want to be too mean to you. How about Swedish?
I don't even know what a Swedish accent sounds like.
The Swedish chef from Sesame Street. Is that what he was on? But
you gotta be like a Cali girl.
So I was thinking about that. I'm trying to think of some of the other localized because like because you can get specific. Like you can do like Texas versus like Alabama. Like there are like variations there. Like Texas people say what instead of like, and you don't hear like they have that like the H before the W. You don't hear it as much.
Yeehaw!
Get along, little doggy. Yeah, let's hear a little cat. I was actually just watching like Clueless recently, randomly. So yeah, let's hear a little Cali girl.
Ugh, as if. Just watch Clueless.
Nailed it.
That's my true calling.
Oh my god.
Like, oh my god. So I was telling Dion, I freaking love that movie. I love it so much. It's so good. So that's a little bit of accents for you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I thought that was funny. I liked it. It was fun. I want to have more fun segments like that, just a little bit, after having some deep, heavy talks,
after like stabbing at the wounds a little bit.
Now we make you laugh. So hopefully, or people are going to be like, I'm skipping through that part. Okay, so moving on to rapid fire.
All right, let's hear them.
You ready? Are you determined to make the best at it?
I'm gonna do the best I can.
Okay, you ready?
Hit me.
If you could have drinks with one celeb, dead or alive, who would it be?
Morrissey from the Smiths.
Okay. What is your favorite conspiracy theory?
Ooh, oh man. Oh. Man, that is tough. Oh my gosh, and now I'm blanking on there's a ship that went missing in the in a port, or it allegedly went missing in a port.
Allegedly.
For a brief period of time,
Yeah.
and there were some theories that it was time travel. And I am Yorktown, maybe the USS Yorktown, something like that. If you Google Navy ship time travel, you'll get like all these results from it. It's pretty interesting. Like it was a late World War II, early Cold War, I think, time period, and a lot of weird stuff going on. I also really enjoy anything involving like CIA mind control type of stuff, and whether where they would like whether they did experiment on like psychic stuff or not, and I think all that stuff's pretty fascinating.
Nice.
Because you get lost in what's intentional misinformation to throw people off. Anyway, this is rapid fire. Let's keep going.
No, I like that. I'm going to answer this question too, because I was really into conspiracy theories for a long time until they started to get a little too like wackadoodle. Then I stopped like getting into them as much. But I really like the JFK assassination one. That one really intrigues me. Like the Zooter film. I've watched that in detail many times. Not because I want to see his head go blown off, but because I'm really convinced there's something fishy going on with that. I'm just convinced.
Well, yeah.
So, what is your dream car?
Dream car. Ooh. Probably some variation of a nice, like an Aston Martin type of sports car, where it's like a very classy. I don't need anything too overpowering. Corvette, like that's too out there for me. Too flashy. And like a Porsche 911, like a early 60s Porsche 911. That's probably my answer for that.
All right. Okay. We'll see if you'll be able to answer this one quickly. Would you rather never be able to play Trivia Pursuit again, or never be right in an argument?
Would I rather never play Trivial Pursuit again, or never be right? I would rather never play Trivial Pursuit again. I love being right.
I knew it.
I love Trivial Pursuit. It's very fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was hoping that would stump you a little bit harder than it did. But then I had to think that you were definitely going to choose that. I had a feeling, because you do like to be right. I do too, though.
When you're often right, or wait, I'm talking down here, right? When you're often right, it's you grow accustomed to it.
He's always wrong, actually. Okay. What are 3 qualities you look for in a woman?
Motherly instincts. I'd like to have a family.
Okay.
Attractiveness. Physical attractiveness.
That's fair. It's on my list for me. So yeah, no, that's fair.
And sense of humor, like being able to make me laugh.
Okay, those are good. Good job. Okay, so that rapid fire. You did good. You answered pretty quickly.
I did the best I could.
Yeah, I think I stumped you on that, the conspiracy theory one.
Yeah, that I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. I'm happy that I got to have you on here. I'm glad that you were willing to talk about deep stuff with me, because I feel like I've tried to not talk about too deep of stuff with people, but I know that the psychologist in me just wants to really dive deep. So thank you for doing that and being a good sport.
Peek back behind the curtain,
yeah,
see what's going on.
I want to see what's going on in that brain of everybody's. So
no, happy to help. I'm glad this was fun. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Recommend anybody that gets asked to do it. It's a good time.
Yes, well, I'm moving through the ranks, so we're getting there. I mean, we got lots of episodes to record, really.
Oh, the next, if we ever, I recommend that we do try to do a group episode one time, and I want to do the cube exercise with people, where we you tell people to imagine a scene. I don't want to give too much away before we do it, but then it's a very interesting, like almost like a tarot reading type of thing.
Oh, God.
Where you like kind of like read into what you imagine as you're like told, like as you're told, like you're given prompts for the scene, and then you imagine those things and have to describe what you're imagining about them. So like the first one is imagine a cube in the desert, and then
my God,
yeah, and then trying to decipher what that means.
See, I would love to have a group of people on here, but I feel like, knowing our friend group, I think we can all listen very, very well, but then eventually we're all going to lose focus and get distracted and like move on to the. I just feel like it would be absolute chaos. But I do want to do that activity at least at one point. So maybe we could just like record just that activity and then call it quits, because I know that their attention's only going to last so long, because we'll get distracted. But no, you did really well. Thank you for being on. And please be sure to like and subscribe. And be sure to comment as well, because I like to see the comments. I'm sure Jared would like to see them as well. So
the creators need engagement, folks.
Exactly, guys. I need it. But yeah, no, thank you for being on.
You're very
thank you
welcome.
guys for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.